I have one. It's not like the most or the worst, but it's something I want to get off my chest.
Oh God.
I just never know where the story is going.
Alex is gonna love this shit.
I'm trying to figure out what
I'm about it.
Harnesses are the worst fucking mod if you do not need them.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted them so
Thank you.
bad.
I will agree.
And I got legit ones. I got really cool Sparko ones. They look sick, but holy shit, they are so annoying to have in your car. I could barely reach my goddamn radio. It's like,
Listen, I was going back through photos the other day, 2014, right?
2 years after I graduated high school.
That's the year I graduated.
I was going through WCC season opener photos, Wisconsin, the season opener car show activity. I'm going through these old photos. You want to know what I see? I see Plasty dipped everything, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
Seafoam.
Seafoam.
Yeah.
The fenders that had the sticker bombs all over it. Diamond Racing Wheels was making a comeback with 37-pound 15x7 wheels. And I was looking through all these edited photos. And you want to know the photographer that I found in one of my folders? The Dakota Stone Photography.
Let's go. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Isn't that wild? I was going through
It
it, and
is
then,
wild.
like, what, 2015, 2016 was the Wisconsin Dells meet that we did. Dakota
I remember
took
that
the
one.
photo. We'll have to put it up. Dakota took the photo. We didn't know each other, like, that much yet. Gels is in the photo.
Yep.
Dakota took the photo. I'm in the photo. Like, 3 other people that ended up coming to the thing that we did for a few years.
Yeah.
We're all in that photo at one place in time, which is wild because, like, in California, the car scene's so massive. Like, you never run into the same person twice. It's kind of sort of
Yeah,
feels
car
like.
scene in Wisconsin, it was us.
Yeah, literally a
It's
movie
like,
theater
it's
amount
your
of
friends
people.
getting
Movie
back
theater.
together for the weekend to go hang out, and it was
Literally, like
500 of us. Yeah.
If you're in the car scene, everybody knew everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, there was. That's why. Yeah, news got around really fast in the car scene because there was nothing more than just like a Mexican-sized family, which I'm Mexican, so I can say that. I think if it's racist, take it out.
You say you're Mexican, but I'm drinking Modelo. Gel's drinking Modelo.
I was slow.
then
I was slow to
you're
the Merry.
drinking a New Glarus?
I was slow to the
almost
Merry
ended up with a Topo
Christmas.
Chico.
Yeah, I almost got the hard seltzer, and I was not about to go on to a podcast with the only hard seltzer out of the group. It's already questionable enough. How are you guys doing? It's good to see you again. Welcome back to my bedroom.
Thank you.
Yes, it's good to be here. Good to be here.
Don't look at the hole in the ceiling, okay? I'm getting it fixed. All right? Times have been tough because you know what? We don't have normal jobs anymore.
No, we do not.
I'd like to say that I'm doing good, but I'm really not because I spent all this time building a winter setup for my Supra.
Tell me about
and
it.
It's amazing. I love it. But now every bit of snow is melted, and now there's no more winter.
Yeah, might as well just throw the summer tires back
Yep,
on.
now I'm just going to revert everything I did and just go back to the way it was.
You definitely
You got the
changed my-
video film though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
you
all
definitely
right. You're
changed my opinion on it because I saw you with the winter setup, which looks awesome, by the way.
Thank
it's
you.
like a little bit of a trip back to 2018.
It is. It
with
really is.
Some of the
That's what
colors
Jel
that
said
you
too.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which I think is
highlighter,
wild.
the highlighter green just like kicked it
Yeah.
back like 6
Construction
years.
worker yellow.
And now it's like
High-vis.
I feel like we should just all get winter vehicles. That
You
can
should.
slide
It's the
around.
best thing I ever did. I'm a changed man now. I don't know if I'll ever just keep a car in the I shouldn't say. I probably will at some point, but it is so much fun to drive rear-wheel drive in the snow.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Jells, we were meeting up and I was hooning the whole way. I'm like, dude, I'm going to get in so much trouble.
I know. I
because it's
hear
just
you
drifting.
as you come onto my street where there's children and women and people walking
There is
around,
too.
and you're going.
There's kids that stand on the corner and they cheer for me when I come. They do.
It's like watching a Hot Wheel come down the highway.
They're like waiting at the bus stop, and I'm like, and they're like, "Whoa!" It's the best thing ever. It's the best thing in the entire world.
So that means we have to get winter tires on all the cars, and I think the people on my YouTube and Instagram, they want to see the Gloria slid around because
That'd be cool.
Be a good way to practice
I
drifting.
want to see all of your cars slid around. I want to see the Ferrari. I want
the
to see
Ferrari.
S2K. I
The
wanna
Ferrari
see the
slides
Gloria.
around without actually much fuss. We tried
Well,
to
you
get it
should
out
put winter
into the
tires
snow.
on.
We're not doing that, but the S2000 would crash into a fiery ball. But Gels,
Yeah.
why don't we throw some winter babies on that RX-8?
I mean, we totally could.
Could you imagine the flames on that thing?
That would be wild.
How come drifters don't take their drift cars out in the snow just so they can practice? You don't got to eat up tires.
Yeah, it's.
You're gonna
mean,
salt
is
it
it
the
the
holy
same
fucking thing.
thing?
It's gonna get rusty.
Yeah.
You need to
How-
work on your car so much
Yeah.
that it'd be a terrible idea.
Exactly.
It was more of a joke.
That's literally like why I traveled to Kansas to buy my car because I knew that anything like in the Rust Belt would have just been absolutely
It's-
atrocious to
yep.
work on. And sure shit, like the first event, like had to replace the tie rod. I've had to like adjust the coils multiple times.
And it wasn't too bad?
And it was perfectly fine.
Oh, see?
But it's like, I know that if it was a 30-year-old car from Wisconsin, it would have been an
10-minute job is a 10-hour job.
Exactly. So
Yeah, that's the worst part about working on those cars because you never really know what you're gonna get until you're in there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I know what you're saying.
yeah. I'd say it is. It is.
Well, you had a Volkswagen.
I've had lots of
Yeah, so Volkswagen's kind of, especially like the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Like once those things start rusting,
yeah,
it's game over.
It's done.
Usually when you see, so this is a good tip. The like 2004-ish GTIs, the VR6s specifically, I always remember where it was like this running joke back in Eau Claire because I had a buddy of mine, his name was Sam Spooner. He had an R32 or a VR6. And he's like, once you see the rust on the actual fender, like on the like right above the wheel, it's game over. The whole fucking car's gone.
You know what that is, right? Why that happens? There's a specific reason related to the Volkswagen.
Oh, really?
Yes. So what it is the Mark IVs. For some reason, it's specifically the driver's side, but it can happen on both. But the driver's side, whatever, is notorious for it, is behind the fender liner, there's a pocket in the rocker and the fender liner, and it just builds up material. And if you don't, like, every few months, take your fender liner off and scoop out the shit behind it, it will start rusting there because dirt gets back there, salt, whatever you're driving over. I've seen literally, because I'm on the Mark IV pages, don't go on those unless you absolutely need to.
No, that's like
I swear, do not go there.
That's one of the last. That's one of the last strongholds of what I feel like old groups, like old Volkswagen groups, really are.
There's a fine line. There is the extremely smart, knowledgeable people that are like so hardcore that like they clean their engine bay with a toothbrush and you could eat a dinner off it because their engine bay is like fine china. And then there's the other guys that are going to Home Depot and getting rain gutters and using those as side skirts. And there's no in between. It's one or the other. You are not in the middle of this.
That's fair.
But anyways, where I was getting with that is I've seen people post pictures of literal plants growing behind the plastic fender well. It's a thing.
Awesome.
It's a thing. It's well known.
Yeah, rust is terrible. It literally eats cars, and it happened to my Eclipse strut tower rust on the DSMs. It's awful. Literally, I've seen so many cars put to an early grave because of that. But yeah, usually if you're seeing it, it's probably like 10 times worse underneath it.
Well,
they usually rust from the inside out.
Yeah.
Like even with my RX-8, when we were wide bodying it, I was like, the reason I wanted to wide body it
You started to see it.
I when I went and saw the car, I was like, it's got just like everything about the car is perfect, but it's got a little bit of rust like showing on the rear quarter panel right by the arch. I was like, I know that that's worse underneath. I was like, I bet if we wide body it like right away, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
we
just cut it out.
Just cut it out because you have to cut it out.
Yeah,
to
just
stop
do a
it.
little plastic
So we
surgery.
did, and sure enough, like when we cut into it, like we had the big chunk of it, and it was like half of that was
Really?
like corroded the whole way through on the
Yeah,
back side.
it's not what you see, it's what you don't see.
Exactly.
Which is why if you're buying an R32 or an R33 or pretty much any car imported from Japan, people are paying astronomical amounts of money for these cars, which by the way, we had Brian on the last episode from Top Rank. Super cool podcast. You should watch it, listen to it. But one of the number one things you should look for specifically on the R33s is checking like the top mounts for the suspension or the pinch welds, because once those things start to rust, specifically on the R33, it is damaging at how fast those cars will actually rust out. Because a lot of them, they weren't really built to withstand like
Do they salt the roads in Japan?
locations. Well, I don't know. I was only there for 7 days, 8 days, 9 days.
I don't think so, but it's more of just like
Well, I know it snows
anything
there.
to do it. Yeah.
Well,
What
yeah.
do they do?
Well, I'm assuming there's some sort of way that they.
I have a
process
higher
it.
standard that Japan has came up with a technology that can
No,
melt snow but not melt metal. There's got to be something. There's got to be something.
I'm pretty sure they just have a train that most of them use.
Okay, but I know that there's also really fucking dope cars there,
There are.
and they don't want them to melt.
Listen, all I'm saying is that I love Nissan very, very much, but when it comes to being a vehicle that doesn't rust, Nissan ain't it. Okay, they rust very, very easily.
Does
I
the
would
Gloria
argue
have rust?
the Gloria
Uh-oh.
has had a little bit. We had
And
to
now
take
you
care
want to
of it.
drive it in the winter? Are you mental?
Well, it's
See,
not my.
that's where
It's
I'm at.
not. See, but it's
You
not
guys
my.
are doing this, and
listen,
it's like, oh, that's
it's not
great,
my
but I
problem.
can't do it. Why?
Because you're going to get rid of it right after this winter? That's so fucked up.
Damn it.
Listen, it's Wisconsin, okay? It's a boy eat boy world, dog eat dog world, whatever the anagram is.
Boy.
It's that, okay?
Boy
you just
eat
gotta
boy.
live.
Can we
You gotta make
dissect
it.
that a little bit more?
Last year, we were Mario, the guy behind the camera, and I were bombing around in some really dope cars, and there's nothing quite
Bragging.
as as maybe a changed focus of 2023 than balling around in a 30-year-old Nissan instead. That's probably going to rust by the time it gets to March. But I'll say it's a drift car. There will be some drift tax on it.
You don't want your drift car to be rusty.
We'll get a different one.
Okay, but
see, that's where I hold on to cars for like 5-10 years.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. It's not a relationship.
That's the problem. Is like the Supra was like an achievement for me, and now I have a lot of trouble with the idea of getting rid of it. Like sometimes I'll say I want other cars, but now I have too much sentimental value that I didn't have with other cars. The Focus I kind of did because I did so much of my first things with it, and that's why I think I did hang on to that one for so long. But the Supra is like, fuck.
That was me with the Datsun because the Datsun was just
you went through hell and back.
Yeah,
with that,
I went through hell and back. That was my first build, learning how to like tear down and rebuild an engine, learning how to go through and like custom make certain things and having friends help me with it all. And then in 2017, in like September, October, I sold it. And I was like, that was great. And then a year later, I'm like, I kind of missed that. And then a year later, I was like, God, I really fucked that up. I should have just kept that car. But I think it's more about the memories with the car for me rather than the car itself, because the car was kind of a giant pile of shit. Like,
that's
barely
the
ran.
That's it's the memories with the car. Yeah. That's what
the great news is. The memories exist in photos. You still sell the car, so you don't have to.
But what if you make more memories?
Just so you know, I bought that 280Z for $7,500, and it had
can't do that no more.
72,000 miles on it.
Wow,
Jesus!
And think about that real quick. You know what I'm saying? That's like a $50,000 car now for no reason.
50,000?
They don't need to be 50, but they are.
Holy shit!
They're a mass imported vehicle, and they're going for 50, 60 Gs right now. Well, they rust out really fast. Yeah. You want to know why? Because they're a Nissan. I'm sorry. Nissans rust fast.
I'm just blown away that you want to drive the Gloria in winter now.
Well, you're driving the Supra.
It's a
I can't
Toyota
send
BMW. There's no Nissan part of it. There's no Nissan.
So first off, I can't. The 430 is not going to make it out there.
Why?
Because it's not going to make it out there. Its nails are polished.
It won't overheat.
I just
it's the best time to drive it.
I just don't think
it loves the wet.
Tis the season.
I feel like if anything, the S2000 would have been more fun.
That would be.
Could you imagine that with like the turbo and the blowout valve and 490 wheel horsepower?
I think
convertible.
That
maybe we should do the S2.
Why are you avoiding the Ferrari so much and driving in winter? Because I really think it should be the Ferrari.
So I'm following the same principle I did with the Datsun with this Ferrari, which is. It's baby steps in terms of how much I trust the car. I have to do certain things and then, kind of feel comfortable because in February, the car is going to Las Vegas where we're racing it around the Las Vegas Speedway for an Amazon show. And I really, if it's going to break or blow up, I would like it to be on that television show. I feel like that'd be good. I don't want it to be...
Just want to T-Pain the car on the show?
I don't want it to be when I'm trying to go through a drive-through and I accidentally curb a wheel and it ends up kinking the entire rear end of the car for some reason because it's a junkyard Ferrari.
You can't get through drive-thrus?
Well, I can. I'm just saying what happens if it's slippery. Listen,
how fast are you going through the drive?
Specific.
Yeah. I feel like something happened recently.
It's just the first thing I thought of.
You don't want to drive the Ferrari in winter because drive-thrus?
Drive-thrus are scary. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I don't even see you go out to eat barely ever. When you going through the drive-thru, this guy's full of shit.
I think it makes sense. I don't know why I'm getting all the heat right now when Gels has specifically and clearly stated that he doesn't even have a car that he wants to drive in the wintertime. I'm trying to offer. That does not count.
Why?
Okay?
That's my daily.
No,
I bought it specifically for that.
It's all-wheel drive.
That's why it doesn't count. You had a vehicle that you weren't intending to drive.
I did have a winter car. I did have a dedicated
and you
winter
chose
car.
that.
And I'm driving a summer car.
I chose to not leave my home for the wintertime, and I'm choosing to get winter tires for a car to drive. Gels
made
has
the
a
right decision.
boring ass BMW when he could go through the emotional pain of winter driving a Mazda RX-8.
After he just explained how it had a little bit of rust, so he cut apart the entire car just to save it, and then it's like, well, why not just get a little bit more rust on it?
See, I don't think you guys understand the amount of headaches and broken knuckles and just heartbreak I went through with that damn Eclipse because of the rust took it.
That's terrible.
I'm like scarred from that. I can't do it.
I'm trying to think if I had like a super rusty car that I like worked on and
I have something similar. 1992 Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4 that I owned for a few months. And I remember going underneath that car and it had rust. And I remember I was trying to get this bolt out and it's like, it just stopped. And I looked at it and it was like sheared into like this weird malformed shape. I've never seen anything. It was my first experience dealing with like a rusted like piece on a car. And then I looked at, I think Herb was with me at the time. I can't remember who, but I was like, what the hell just happened? And he's like, it's pretty much a DSM, so I don't know what you expect.
I mean, it literally, every part that I would touch on that car, like I remember I had to replace like the radiator one time. Every bolt I would touch either snapped or just literally disintegrated. And it's just a nightmare. I went to replace the fuel filter one time. And it's pretty easy to get to. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to jack the car, but I'm just going to like replace it under there. I could like see it.
Yeah.
Everything just disintegrated and snap. And I'm like, oh my God, well now I got to, so I like went to like jack the car. Pinch weld completely just folded because of the rust. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this car.
See, that's why you see DSM owners so pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
Because why would you be happy if you owned one of those cars?
No.
Why would you be happy owning a car that's constantly trying to not start?
All right.
Listen,
He's not wrong.
There's a couple dozen of you left, and I give my heart to those men and women that have chosen to have a vehicle that is objectively worse in every single way to modify because it just doesn't want to stay alive.
The reason that they do this is because it's the same concept of putting legendary mode on Halo or, doing Nuzlocke on video games where you want to play on a difficult way so that way when you win, it's so satisfying.
Yeah, I would agree.
I just think they're dope cars.
Which part?
Yeah, where?
They look really sick.
Which one?
But besides
second gen.
The second gen.
Second gens, they look good.
I think.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, they look good, but are they worth the pain?
No.
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Because they're freaking awesome. Like the GSX is all-wheel drive, like 4G63 turbo. You can make some decent power. They look fucking
Get a
sick.
fucking Evo.
Yeah, literally get anything.
They're literally like twice the cost.
That's
Well,
because they're all destroyed.
Yeah, maybe
because they're twice as better.
Upfront cost is like this, but once you actually put in the blood, sweat, and tears and the amount of time it takes to actually get the car running, the Evo's actually cheaper.
What is your one issue with the DSM? What is the one issue? I want to hear it.
They're always broken.
In what way? What breaks?
Crank walk.
Okay, that was like the 6-bolt engines.
Okay.
That was
rust.
like
The
from
strut
like,
tower
that was from
rust.
like 95 to 96.
Strut tower rust.
Okay, that's in like the northern part of the country. Yes.
Those be like Basville. Okay. Anyways,
Got me there.
listen. I don't want to get a bunch of hate because I love those cars. I have one fucking hanging up in my room. All right, I got it from Applebee's. It's a big deal.
Jealous of that poster.
Applebee's?
Yes,
It's
I
a
bought it for
$6.
$5. It's in this crazy frame. Applebee's is closing. Somehow I snagged it for $5. Anyways, I enjoy the cars. I just never would own one because I wouldn't put myself through that.
That's what I'm saying.
When you could just get like an Evo.
That's all I'm saying is that they like I get it and I love it, and the people like when WCC was first getting started back in 2012, 2011, 2013 area. I remember when the DSM like group, the posse, came into WCC because the level of knowledge like the average group had was like here. And then once the DSM community came in, it was like here. You couldn't argue with them. You could never argue with them.
And people build them and say, my cousin had one. The one I bought my Evo 10 from had 2G, and the shit's pushing over 500 horse, and he was taking it to the drag strip. Thing was gnarly.
That's what I'm saying, is it's like the DSM community for me is like the grandpa, in my opinion, to like what the rotary community has kind of turned into, which is like it's a more difficult platform to get into. There's a lot of respect around it. You have to respect, not really have to, you choose to respect the people that own them and know how to build them because they have to know so much about it.
That's true.
The DSM community for me was like, that was the OG. If you're picking a fight like in Wisconsin area, like if you're picking a fight with like Samantha Morrison or any of those people that were really invested in the
Gels,
you had to know your shit. And a lot of times you were still wrong.
I have to clarify. I had a 428. I didn't have the 4G6.
We know.
God,
no
we know.
boosted cars, only NA. We know. We're
Naturally
aware.
aspirated.
We're aware.
So,
We're aware.
And I want to clarify too. I probably fucked up the 6-bolt versus 7-bolt thing. I don't know what the years are, so I might get flamed for that. But I just know that there was a difference.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
what
I
makes
don't
it
know
so
enough
hard.
to
You have to
argue.
like know every crossword puzzle answer with the 4G62 DSM
So
community. It's like, what the
dagger,
fuck, man?
There was a dagger for me with those cars where it was like, okay, this is why they're not that cool because RJ, one of the guys locally here, has like the cleanest one I've ever seen.
Yes,
It's
that
gorgeous. It's done perfectly.
token
Gorgeous
GSS.
car. And David Patterson came to drive it and review it. That dude in blue. He drove it. He's like, yo, I love this car. But he's like, after driving, it's like, man, slow and like,
it's like
kind of
bone stock.
yeah, right. I know, but like, that's what I'm saying. Where is unless you put an absurd amount of money into the thing, I don't know if it's really worth owning.
You could say that about anything. Though.
I don't know. No, wrong.
No.
Wrong.
How?
I just think there's a lot of different ways that you can get a lot more power.
The car is 30 years old.
That's why it should die.
Yeah,
Move on,
let it
Gels.
die. Yeah.
No.
Are you going to
Move
get a 2G?
Do you have a
At some point,
do you have
yeah.
do you have a color TV?
You sold your 2G.
I have a color TV.
Do you watch black and white TV?
No.
Yeah, watch color because it's better.
You're comparing
Let
a
it die.
DSM to a black
Let
and white
it die.
TV?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. There's a reason that partnership ended and liquidated. Okay, let it die.
I'd rather have a Dodge Neon SRT4 than a 2G Eclipse.
That's fair.
I'd rather have a Skittle
Yeah.
than an SI.
But what's the difference between getting a good amount of stuff out of an SRT4 versus a 2G Eclipse?
I think you could get more out of it for less.
Really?
Yeah,
would say
SRT would smoke a 2G.
Well,
with
hold on, really quick.
With bolt-ons.
I would say if you were to put both cars side by side for the same amount of age, that SRT4 would be a giant pile of shit just as much as the DSM.
Yeah.
Because
you're
Dodge
probably
didn't
right.
really
And
know what
today,
they were doing, and like the thing shook on the inside, like plastic pieces.
Yeah, they're cheap cars, 100%.
Super
but
fun when you walked. Like the original Burble was the SRT4.
Yeah.
OG Burble
100%.
before 335
Yep.
owners got their hands on whatever the hell's going on. Those things were wild.
Yeah.
You did not line up against an SRT4 unless you had an MR2, which was wild. Like I always look back at like the most like prestigious cars when I was in like the local community in Eau Claire, and it was always like SRT4. Sure, there was some old muscle stuff, but they were all owned by old grumpy men.
Yep.
And then MR2s. There was 2-ish Mark IV Supras, and then I remember that was when like the Terminator, the Cobras and the Terminators, those were the
Ran the streets.
those ran some serious numbers. And like I remember listening to the MR2 and the Terminator go at it. And like the MR2, it was yellow. There's two of them. They were brothers. A yellow and a red one. They're like 600 horsepower, 500 horsepower.
You have a
They're
death wish
fast.
driving a 600 horsepower.
SW20 too. And then the Termi, and those things screamed by my apartment because that's where in Eau Claire there's like this road that just kind of sweeped around on the highway, and that's where they always ran every Friday night. Man, it was just intoxicating. I could just sit out there and drink Reds. It was a disgusting drink, but that's what I drank when I was there. Listen to them go by.
Reds.
I don't know what to tell you.
If you're gonna drink a cider, why Reds?
Anyways, I was young.
I
feel
think
like that was like one of the first ones.
Yeah,
like
then
that really
you
kickstarted
move
it.
on.
no Angry Orchard.
No,
No, I
Reds
feel like
was
Reds
first.
came out first.
It was Reds and then Angry Orchard.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess by the time I was drinking ciders,
Careful.
They were both out.
When did you start drinking ciders? Because I drank them when I was 20.
Well, I was drinking UV Blue for 10 years before I drank anything else.
Yeah, that was gross. That was the official high school drink of North High.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucking
That's what I'm saying.
terrible.
All right, well, I think we had some good conversation, but when we get
That was
back,
a really good segue.
we should talk about,
The elephant in the room.
yeah, should your hobby be your job? So let's take a quick break and come back and start diving into that.
All right, so let's get into the real nuts, bolts, and potatoes and salad about this.
Nuts?
Yep.
All right, getting into the nuts of this.
All right, let's real talk about this.
Should your hobby be your job? I think we all can dabble in that quite a bit and talk about it for a while. So,
Because it is a thing. Like it's I see this a lot, especially when people ask. I think one of the most common questions I get is from people on Instagram. They'll be like, "Hey, I really want to get into cars. Like I want to do car stuff for my career. I'm thinking about going to like UTI, or I'm thinking about becoming a mechanic. Like, what do you think?"
wait 1 second before you finish that thought. That's your most asked question. My most asked question is, what wheels fit on my Scion TC?
I used to get asked, "What wheels should I get for my Mazda RX-8?"
Yeah,
That was the
okay,
number one
okay.
question.
Have you been directing them to me now?
Yes.
It was like
Straight
checks
out.
out.
I need that out of my Instagram.
All right.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Finish
18
your
by
thought.
9.5
Finish your
plus
thought.
22, 18 by 10.5 plus 22.
There it
Yeah.
is. Okay.
So it does bring up that question, right? Where it's like people, they love working on cars, or they love the thing of cars, like driving them and experiencing them.
Right.
It doesn't inherently mean that you're going to be a mechanic. That doesn't inherently mean that you're going to like being a mechanic. So it's like I don't even know if that's a good thing to do for most people. For letting your hobby be your passion, because sometimes those things aren't even like aligned correctly. The hobby is the activity, right?
Yeah.
And the doing a job that's kind of familiar around it, I don't think is going to breed the same emotion. I don't think it's going to feel the same.
Yeah, I think how I look at it is like the highs are probably the highest they can be. When your job is aligning with your hobby and it's fantastic, I don't know if it can get better than that, truly. But the lows are the fucking lowest too, because not only is your job hurting, but your personal life is hurting.
Yeah.
Especially too, like if for example, cars is your hobby and your job is cars, and you're just struggling all around then. You don't have a release. You don't have an outlet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if your hobby was cars and you got off of work and you went and did that thing afterwards to be your release, well, now that thing isn't your release anymore. And now it's just like, I don't want to fucking be anywhere around that, but now I don't have anything else to be around because that was my hobby. So I think people need to understand that it can be great. It can be amazing, but there is really, really hard times with it. And I think that's why, like, not everyone makes it making their hobby their job. And I don't know necessarily that everyone should make their hobby their job, because your hobby, I think, sometimes should be your hobby. But I'm also saying, don't take that to heart fully. Like, if there's something that is your hobby and can be your job, I think it is worth doing.
But it comes down to passion, right?
Yep.
Like, there's a difference between trying to make something your job so that you can get paid and just having passion towards something that you want to do a lot. I would say one of the best things about making your passion your job is that you get to be you in almost its fullest sense.
Yeah.
You get to be the most pure version of you, no matter what.
Sometimes.
See? That's where it goes into this weird space where I talk about this in a video that I did at the beginning of January, which I was super passionate about. And it was like hard for me to kind of open up and be a little bit more vulnerable about, because it was like, for me to kind of get back to the basics of doing the content myself and to restart the channel, it's like, holy shit, do I want to do this? Right. Do I want to do this all over again and restart and reset and start literally back at the basics? And it took me a while, and the answer was absolutely. Because what I loved for the longest period of time, for me at least, was that I got to be the purest version of me. And I got to be surrounded by people that were also the purest and rawest version of themselves. You never got a facade. You never got a fake version of them. And that's why I loved what I did for so long. It's just, you have to be you, though, if you want that to work.
See, yeah, exactly. And that's the line. Because the moment you can't be yourself, it's no longer your hobby, and you're no longer having fun doing your job. And it is just a job. And it's borderline worse than just like a normal job, because it's like you're almost like destroying and fighting what you love. That was deep. That was way deeper than I wanted to go with that. I mean, Jesus Christ, I didn't mean to say that.
Well, I mean,
but like,
I mean, and not to just go back and forth, because Giles, pipe in whenever you want. It's just, there is an emotional connection to it, and you have to be really comfortable with bringing some of that home if you do really make it your passion, because you will struggle.
You'll bring it home all the time.
There will be bad days, and it does it impacts your relationship with friends, family, if you have a significant other. When you're signing up for that association between your passion and what you do to make money, and you go at it as hard as you can from a passion perspective and also from like an income perspective, things can get really shitty really fast. They can get really dirty really fast, and it's really hard to spread the two.
I think it becomes really hard to find that balance of like what is work at that point and what is actually you having fun with it, and like kind of separating that, because it's like okay, I could do stuff with cars all day for what I'm doing as part of my job, but then I want to go home and I want to like work on my car. It's a mental game you have to play of like, oh, I could like record that and make like a TikTok or Instagram, or I could make a YouTube video out of this. And it's like, well, then you're just fucking working, and you're working an extra 5 hours that you should be like on your own relaxing. And it's like, if you don't know how to separate that, it can really kill you. And it's like, I think we're all guilty of it.
Yeah. And
it's really hard to do.
Contrary to popular belief, like, I think some people listening to this are probably like, well, you call it work, but it's like fun. I enjoy it. But like, in the same sense, when you're doing it all week and you're doing it every week and you're doing it for years, you do get like a sense of burnout, and you need time. 100%. I don't think there's anything in the world that I could do every single day 24/7, because you just get tired of it. And it doesn't matter if it's like my favorite hobby or what, you need time away from it. Otherwise, you just get burnt out from
But what happens when it takes over everything?
Right.
Like that's the thing with social media. That's the thing with being content creators. We're like not trying to dig on ourselves, but it's like being kind of the Wish app of famous, where it's like you're not out there all the time. People aren't running up to you, right? It's mostly just people at bars, mostly men staring at you awkwardly, like, I think I know you. And it's like, I've seen you somewhere. It's like, bro, just say if it's a problem or not. But you know, it's everywhere. And if you don't create that boundary, at least for me, it's always on. It's always on. It's the social media, it's the YouTube, it's that. It's exactly what you said. It's that project.
It becomes your life. Yeah.
And it's not about it being a bad thing. I don't want it to be said as a bad thing. All I'm trying to say is that if you do it consistently, it will become who you are. 100%, whether you want to admit it or not. And if you don't if it does go bad, you eventually have to get to a point where you have to make a choice. Yep. What kind of person that you want to be, what kind of content creator, what kind of human you want to be, and do you want that to be the person you turn into, especially being younger, or do you have to make a really hard cut to go somewhere else and try it over again?
Absolutely.
And there's a fine line too, like if content creation is part of your job, maybe, I don't know, mechanic, that's different. But like with content creation, like Alex said, it's always on, no matter what. And it just, like you were saying too, Giles, when you get home, it's like you want to do stuff to your car, but you're so done with it for the day. It's like, I just want.
It's because like if I know I do that and I don't film it, it's like, oh, I got this really cool part to install, but it's like I gotta film it, and it's I don't want to. I just got done doing that, and it's like that's the last thing I want to do right now. I just want to take my mind off of something, and you know, I think that's what a lot of people don't. I don't want to say don't understand, but like they don't see, because it's like I think, you know, we hide it a bit where it's like, yeah, we want to show like the cool stuff. We want to show the wins. We want to show all that stuff. Obviously, we don't want to very much show like, oh, this is how real it is and how much it, you know, the bad things, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when it's just your hobby and you do it a couple times a week, if something like bad comes along, it's like, I don't gotta worry about that. I'll worry about it next week or something like that. But when it's your job,
so you gotta
that is literally what you are paid to resolve. And it's like you're gonna have a lot of good, and like you said, you're gonna have a lot of lows. And it's like when it is the lows, you got to figure that shit out now.
Yeah.
And it's like you are required to figure that. It's like you can't just step back and let it go for, you know, a couple of weeks and then come back to it. It's like, no, it's.
I think that goes into the same thing about just, you know, you see a lot of people, especially nowadays, I would argue, and this is like the nerdy part coming out, but you know, there's multiple studies coming out that say the way people live and the way people are growing into being like adults now is way different in terms of how they value their time.
Sure.
They really have separated work-life balance. They've really separated how much they're willing to commit to something versus
what is work-life balance?
That doesn't exist. Yeah, right. But you know, there's these things, and you're seeing this audience kind of say, no, my job is my job. And I'm going to live life in the now. I am going to appreciate the now. And there's a growing percentage of people that think that way. They buy that way. They shop that way, which is different, way different.
Yeah.
But when you're in this weird stream, when you're in the matrix of creating content, which is consistently consumed time over time over time over time, it's this like never ending, never satisfied machine. You are you are making a choice to push into that and then make the piece of content and go right on to the next and go right on to the next. Because if you stop or you slow down or you do anything like that, the platforms that you're on get mad at you.
Right.
You know, so
they say they don't, but they do.
They 100% do. You see this huge group that's like, I'm going to live in the now and appreciate now. And then like these group of content creators, and I'm so happy to see Randy from Eliminate like posting a little bit more of like just these authentic experiences and taking a step back and being like realizing where he's at, because most of the time, I know I've done and I'm guilty of it, is like, I got this thing. Okay, now it's time to keep going forward. Like there's no appreciation for it because you don't have the time to appreciate it.
Well, and then
that's a very
once
good
one
point.
goal is met, it's the next goal.
Yeah. It's like yeah, like you said, you don't have the time to be like, man, I've wanted this for fucking 10 years and I've worked my ass off to get here. Cool, I got it. Next thing. It's like, bro, what I would have done for that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yep, that's just another piece of the puzzle. Like, it sucks to think that way.
It is crazy. And there's one saying that I've always heard is like, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And that is the most biggest bullshit statement that I've ever heard and been told in my entire life. And I truly mean that, because when I found a job that I loved, I've never worked harder than I did in my entire life until that time.
But you're willing to do it.
You're willing to do it.
Right.
But it is exhausting. It's 15-hour days, 14-hour days. It's working when you don't even want to work, but because
It's
you
losing
love it.
sleep at night because you're trying to think of things or solve things.
I think a lot of people on the front end see all, because that's what you post. You only post the good stuff. You don't post the bad stuff. And there is a lot of heavy times that come with it, and nights with no sleep, and times where you are just absolutely grinding like crazy. And it's I feel like we're getting a lot of negative.
So wait.
There is a ton of positive.
Let me switch this around though, because I think this is important, because I've dedicated my life to like trying to do the car community stuff, trying to stay involved in this community, because I've always loved it, and dedicating what I did for like. I'm very proud of everything that we were able to achieve.
As you should.
I could not be more excited about what happened. There are some fantastic wins, and there are opportunities that you get that you will never get if you don't choose to take that risk. So you really do have to ask yourself, all of the things that we're talking about are the costs of doing it. But there are so many different wins and positives that we got to experience, or that we continue to get to experience, because we chose to do that.
Right. Yeah.
There's racing, there's events, there's memories, there's trips, there's, income, there's all sorts of stuff that you get to have as a byproduct of also doing the thing that you're passionate about. It's just, how do you create something, whether it's internally or within a group of friends or people within the company, that can check and balance just how wild this forest will actually grow. Because if you don't leave it unchecked, the only thing that kills you is, in my opinion, unfocused passion.
Yeah.
Unfocused passion kills direction, in my opinion. When you start getting into your passion being your job, if it's not focused, it takes over like a cancer. Nothing is ever good enough. Nothing is ever great enough. Nothing ever moves fast enough. Everything is a failure. And because it's so invested in your day-to-day life, your life sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like,
Everything is
wait,
bad.
whoa, back the
Like,
fuck
what
up.
happened?
Wait.
Yeah.
We had a bad day. We're still having a blast. We're still doing incredible things. We're still changing the world. Why are we saying it sucks?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happens when, in my opinion, when you have unfocused passion. So it's like, if you're going to do it, but set some goddamn guardrails about what you deem successful or not successful. So then at least you're not kicking yourself over the head saying that you can't sleep, or you're checking emails at 3:00 in the morning, because while it's fun to do every once in a while you have to, it shouldn't be something that you have to do all the time. It's a switch,
Yeah. And the thing is, because I think I said a lot of negative points, but if someone came up and asked me, like, would you make your passion your hobby your job again? Fuck yeah. I wouldn't even think twice about it. 100%. So let that be said. And I mean, I kind of am, I'm restarting and doing everything again.
Yeah,
so it's like it is worth it. You just have to go into it with the right mindset. And I think there's a lot of things I wasn't prepared for, but I was able to work through.
Yeah, because I could have very easily gone and got just a regular, 40-hour-a-week job. I can go to it. I don't have to worry about it. After 4:00 on Friday, I'm out.
Yep.
And
you can go do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever I want to do, and that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. But that's not what I wanted to do. I chose to stay in this, mentality and this like era of where we're going, and yeah, that was a decision that I think all of us made.
See, that's why I'm happy that you're here, which they don't work for me. Point the camera in my direction. All right, for the 6 people that are watching this, hoping I say something. All right, that's about that. They don't work for me. So fuck off, all right? Go back to your fucking casserole and go to bed. It's 8:00.
You say casserole?
I don't know. It just seems like something
casserole?
people would eat. I don't have casserole.
Eats casserole and listens
Let
to
me
a
ask you a
podcast.
question.
All right, yep. Hit me with it.
Knowing what you know now,
Yeah.
if you could go back to 2018, right? 2018 you? Or was it 2019? 2018 you when you first...
What are you trying to find?
It was
When you started
Getting
I can't-
into my career?
getting in... Yes.
Yeah, 2019.
What would be one thing that you would tell yourself that you think would help you, for today?
Oof.
That's not negative.
That's not negative. That would help me.
No, never.
No,
That's
never. We're
directed
past that.
towards my
Like-
career. I'd say you're gonna love it and you're gonna fucking hate it. But just go through with it because it's worth it.
I like it. Gels?
Oh God,
It's a big question.
that is a huge question. So basically, 2018 me, if I could go back and just give a little insight.
Yeah. Just give them something. Just give them a little salt that just makes the whole thing maybe taste a little better.
It's a little better. Know that no matter what, it's gonna work out.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
See, that's I like that. It's a nice closure.
Well,
because there's always
I
another.
want to hear
chapter.
your answer.
What?
Same thing.
Oh,
2017.
2017 me.
Well, I mean, see, but like we were doing stuff well before then.
Yeah, I've been doing stuff since 2011.
Okay, so
WCC started.
2011 you.
Goddamn. I was
You can tell that
I was
small
I was an ornery, arrogant.
Yeah, that was a different time.
Yeah, I was a whole different human being. There's old Alex and there's middle Alex and there's
Yeah,
new
it's okay.
Alex.
We all have that.
I think what I would tell myself is to remember to save some of that emotional energy for the people that matter the most, because I put as much energy as I could into everything. And sometimes the most important people that were waiting for me weren't people that got any of it. And I think that hurt for a very long period of time that I haven't been able to recover yet. But I'm hopeful that going into this next chapter, I can reset that because, we've never been here before.
Right.
And my goal is to learn. So now that I've learned, now if I make the same mistake again, I'm just an idiot.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. That work-life balance, that shit's crazy, especially when you're doing stuff like we're doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're streaming until 9:00 last night, right? And then you're editing until 1 a.m.
Yep.
I filmed 2 weeks of shorts, some pillar videos last night till like 11:30. I had a Roma pizza, which was dog water, at like midnight. Then woke up at 6 to do it all over again. I mean, you've been up late at night working on the RX-8, doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, the work-life balance is still not a normal work-life balance, but I would hope that at least it's a balance that you feel like you have more ownership around.
Yeah, I feel like I'm way more aware of it now, and it's like I know when it's like, hey, just you got time, you're on your own schedule. It's okay if the video doesn't go up tonight or tomorrow morning.
Dude, that shit. That shit fucks me up, and that's what I'm struggling with a lot. Is like I was in this mentality of uploading 7 times a week and then doing 14 reels a week and all this shit. And now going to my content, like I almost feel like I'm failing when I do one
I'm ready
YouTube
for
video.
someone to like break down my door and like yell at me and like
I can if you
write
want
a
me to.
standard or something.
Do you want me to?
No.
But like the fucking awesome part, the part I love, is I've seen it be successful. So it's like this whole time, what I knew in my head that was right. It's just I couldn't communicate it the way I needed to, or it was hard to show the value in how fast we were moving, you know? And I'm not talking ill towards anyone or anything like that. The decisions we made were made as a team.
Yes.
And I was never not on board until like the end. So it's hard to get out of that mentality after doing it for 3-4 years of like how much content, like, and remembering, we had such a huge team helping with that, but like I'm still just stuck in this.
It's project.
Headspace
It's
of-
literally like the definition of project creep, where it's like you do it. Let's say you make it a non-car analogy. You go to the gym. You go 2 times a week.
I don't do that.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
What's a gym?
Okay, let me try again. You cook healthy for 2 times
All
a
right,
week.
start over. All right, new one.
You drink 2 beers a night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
No,
yeah.
we're not doing that. Okay. You go because that is promoting alcoholism. All right. Listen.
Having 2 beers a night?
Well, if you listen to the analogy,
Okay,
all right.
come up with a better analogy. You come up with these all the time. You
Okay,
can't think of one
listen.
that relates
okay,
to me and Joe's.
here, I got you. I got you. You're playing RuneScape.
Okay.
Okay. It's
Good?
been a while,
Yes.
but I'm here for
Okay.
it. Yes.
So you're playing RuneScape. You play 3 times a week, and you level up your skills. You get a certain amount of XP every single time that you play because you're trying to get to a level, right?
yeah.
Then you go from 3 days a week to 4 days a week. So
Hell
you can
yeah.
get more XP. You're like, oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Then you go to 5.
Yeah.
Then you go to 6.
Let's go.
Then you go to 7.
All right, my mom's yelling at me.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Tacos are
And you do that
outside.
for 4 to 6 months, and all of a sudden you go from 7 times. And now, by the way, you're streaming this. People are waiting for you to log on to stream the content. They're waiting to support you, to give you all this energy because they're stoked that you're there. Now you feel like you're obligated to do it.
Yeah.
Now when you pull back, you're doing a disservice. Then you pull back from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. Now all of a sudden, just as hard as it was to get up to 7, it's just as hard to stop before you're not doing it at all. And I think the fear that people have of having a schedule that sometimes goes up and sometimes come down is not the fact that it moves. It's the fact that as you take less work, as you go down in what you feel like are your expectations, there's this ever-growing fear that eventually your expectation will become 0.
Right.
And you just don't do it. And that's what I see a lot of
100%.
people that do content or want to try a photography company. Because Bojenga asked me one time, like, how do you find yourself in a highly saturated market? And it's like, I don't really think it's about being better than anyone. I don't think it's about trying to find this weird niche that nobody else does. 90% of the beginning of you being successful in anything is being structured and disciplined to do it consistently.
doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
You just got to be careful that it doesn't expand to every orifice.
There's got to be
constantly
limits.
met.
You got to
Exactly.
limit yourself, and you got to set realistic goals.
Yes.
Too.
That's huge.
It's great to shoot for the moon, 100%. But if you are beating yourself up and just destroying yourself over not hitting that moon target, it's going to destroy everything. But if you can hit, because like with everything that happened, I had goals set because I was like, all right, I got to make this shit happen for myself. And I set goals, and unbelievably, the community helped me surpass them like immediately. And my instant mindset was, those goals were wrong. Those goals were wrong. I need to do way more than that. Those were so far off.
Yeah.
Why was I thinking that? Okay, so now I'm going to shoot for this. And then I took a step back and I was like, no, fucking celebrate that win for 2 seconds. It's okay. It's okay to go above the goal and beat it.
Yeah.
And that shit's hard.
That's for me what the streaming has been, because I think getting out there every Wednesday and just doing something that is interactive, that really has no intention other than just like hanging out for me, has been a blast. Because you guys know me probably better than most people, is that it's like when I want to do something, I like have to do it 100, and then I have to do it 100 forever. There's there's no break. Like I am one of the reasons Dakota is saying what Dakota is saying, for sure. But the point is that when you start to reflect and you give yourself time to reflect, I think it helps open up the human part of this thing, which content creation at its core, being a YouTuber or doing stuff for cars or being a mechanic that you show to other people. Anytime that you're trying to build a community, at its core, it's about showing that you're just a person too. And you're delivering something in a way that's either entertaining, fun, educational, whatever it may be. But as soon as you lose the humanity, everything is worthless.
100%.
People make it 100%.
Absolutely. I think those were some really good points. And I think it comes down to, should your hobby be your job? I think it's a situation and type of person basis. And it's something you really have to think about before you go and do it. I would suggest just sleeping on it a little bit, maybe dabbling in it,
If you have
and then committing.
If you have a significant other, or you have like a family member that you're close to, like in all honesty, if mother, father, grandpa, uncle, whatever, like talk to them and get their opinion. Because one thing I will say that's super helpful is being willing to say, are you willing to come on this journey with me, which is going to involve late nights, long hours, not a lot of sleep, stress, no money because we're spending it all in the business. And like get that group of people together. Because if they're like, yeah, I'm willing to do that, then those sleepless nights when the balance doesn't make much sense, you at least have a group of people around you.
Absolutely. And that's huge.
Cool.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the questions that users have. I wonder if the mics are picking up that slap. But we got some good ones from you guys, so it just is what it is.
Welcome back to the podcast, the MartiniWorks podcast. If you guys haven't heard yet, we're talking about the questions that the audience brought in
we
for
got
us.
some. Alex, did you have some, or were you messing with me?
No, I did have a couple. I just didn't know if you had one right off the cuff.
I can go first. I'm I usually get first. So, all right.
No, you
We have
don't. There's not a
Stitch.
single time that you've beat me in a competition.
You want to arm wrestle? Stitch03 P5 asks, if you could change one thing from the current car scene, what would it be and why?
Oof.
That's a heavy one. That was a bit aggressive to start
I'm
with.
not going first. I have to think about it.
Really?
I'm trying
You
to,
asked the question.
yeah, so I don't have to go. So you have to go.
So the
need to
the
think.
one thing I would change about the car scene right
The
now?
current car scene. Think hard. Think hard. Think hard. I don't have one yet either. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of one thing that I really did.
The selective, I got it.
Okay.
The selective hate towards street takeovers and public street tomfoolery.
Are you saying
Elaborate.
like, yeah, like the difference between,
Yeah, so like a shitty, let's say 350Z does a burnout in a four-way,
Sure.
right? Post that on TikTok, get blasted into smithereens. A Porsche GT3 RS does the same exact thing. Goes viral, pops off everywhere. Everybody loves the guy. What's the difference?
okay.
They're both doing
Same
illegal thing. Yeah, right? Street takeovers, I think, are the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think they're safe. They've been around for a very, very, very long time. Street takeovers are not a new thing, right? But, don't give them attention. They won't thrive. It's literally how it works.
They've
If
been
you
getting
don't,
hella attention.
but they've been getting hell of attention, on TikTok and stuff like that. And people drop in the comments like, oh, fuck street takeovers, blah, 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 blah. And then, 4 or 5 guys will do their own little intersection of stupidity with $250,000 cars, and all of a sudden it's okay because those are expensive cars and it looks cool. Yeah. I don't like that. That's the biggest thing that in the past, it was never really there, that level of social media, that real-time involvement to where, yeah, you did stupid shit all the time, but it wasn't so real-time. It didn't feel like there was a selectiveness to it. You usually did something stupid. You did a burnout on a back road or something. You show it to your buddies and you're like, here
You got it like saved on your phone and you go to the bar and you're like, oh yeah.
And then if you do hurt, like if you are, doing a burnout or something, there's literally like an old country road you'd go back to. Like back in Eau Claire, we did one. It was called Burnout Road.
Take me home to the place I belong.
Finish it.
Mountain Mama.
No, you missed
No,
it.
West Virginia. West Virginia.
Everyone forgets.
I've never been there.
See, there's like back then, and then if you hurt yourself, right? If you crash, the only person you hurt is yourself.
yeah,
I'm
that
a
was
firm
stupid.
believer that if you are going to do something dumb, the very worst person you should hurt and only hurt
Is yourself.
is yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. As a person that does dumb shit for
Literally 24/7.
Yeah. I do dumb shit all the time, but I try to make it where it's only
Totally agree.
Gonna hurt
Don't
myself.
see me sit on a pedestal saying that I don't do dumb stuff. I do. Trust me. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're going to do something dumb, go do it by yourself. Only person you can hurt is you.
do dumb stuff smart.
Do dumb stuff smart. Okay. But don't be selective about the things. I hate the selective hatred of things. Black and white.
Okay, cut this dude off. Gels, do you have something?
Not yet. Go
Okay, I got one. All right.
It's been 5 minutes.
Mine.
I'm listening. I
Okay,
can't-
so again, we just went through this whole thing. The whole thing.
great.
Mine's very emotional. It's a bit deeper than what I want to go, but
Oh my God.
I just really need Dodge Challengers to stop leaving their bumper guards on, and I'm fucking sick of it, and it needs to end. It's not. I hate it.
Didn't Evan Shanks put
Yeah, on
some
his
bumper
AMG.
guards on
Yep,
his AMG?
Yeah, I identify as a Dodge. Yes, yes, and I love that because, dude, where were we? I was literally starting to count how many we seen. Was it California? I can't. It's weird to have Challengers in California. Maybe it was Texas. I think it was Texas.
Yeah, it was
Texas would totally make sense. Yeah, me and Steve were down in Texas, and holy shit, the amount of people that leave those fucking bumper guards on.
Because they're trim.
They're not.
Trim piece, baby.
And like, I don't like give a shit what people do. That's fucking stupid. And I do give a shit what you do. I judge you. If I see that and you're driving that, I think you're an idiot. I think you're fucking dumb and you don't have a good excuse to prove me that you're smart. You're an idiot if you do that.
I like it. Gels, anything you want to find? You want to meet in the middle somewhere between my selective hatred of those street takeovers and bumper guards?
They say please remove in Boston the plastic. Okay.
It's on the underside though.
I don't give a fuck.
All right. All right. Take this as you will.
I will.
Not the thing itself, but the argument surrounding it of real wheels and replica wheels.
Yeah.
The argument itself, all right?
Elaborate, because I might want to fight this a little bit.
So the actual like shit talking and like degrading and
okay.
I
get what you're saying.
Words thrown back of like, oh, I didn't have to spend 20 grand on my wheels to get, the same amount of likes on my TikTok video. And it's like, you're like, my AV6s are just as good. It's like, no, they're fucking not. Like, if that's all you can afford and you want your car to look good, fine. That's fine. Go buy a set of cheap replica wheels and do what you need to do with them. But don't sit there and say that they're just as good or better than the wheel that they were modeled after.
Yeah.
Right.
And then on the same turn of the coin, you don't have to shit talk someone for having a cheap set of wheels.
And also, you have to be careful because the people that will be like, oh, well, I didn't have to spend a lot of money on my rear wheels. I have the fucking basic ass real wheel VSKFs, and these things were only $1,200 on Craigslist. It's like, all right, listen here, bitch. Okay, the faces are real, okay, but the barrels and lips have probably been absolutely destroyed, and they're probably the same Chinese shitty aluminum knockoff pieces that they got 12 years ago that aren't even like in spec for the face anymore. It's like the argument. You're absolutely.
It's not that one is better than the other, because I truly believe that every wheel has its own place. All right, take that. It's the actual fucking argument around it.
That's
and
good.
The stupid
I agree. I am
fucking
100% on board.
that these people on Instagram and TikTok take on it and try to like fire shots back at each other. It's like, just shut the fuck
in
up.
this industry, one thing I learned is nobody on the fucking internet knows what a replica wheel is and what that actually means. They'll label fucking anything a rep wheel, and they have no idea what that actually means.
It's before they argue, they go out onto Google and they're like, SSR Professor Rep, and then look, and they're like, that's actually a copy of this Japanese wheel brand from 1967, dumbass. It's like they don't even know what they're arguing about, which is super hilarious because even Work Wheels has made rep wheels. Even SSR has made rep wheels. Every brand you could possibly imagine, BBS, they've all made rep wheels.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Work made a copy of a 1552 wheel back like 7 years ago and then pulled it once they got called out for being a rep wheel. Literally, this is a true story. 1552 came out with 3-wheel designs. They're original. They're awesome-looking wheels. Work came in a year later, literally almost the same identical wheel as a multi-piece option. And people were like, wait a minute. This never happens. What are we supposed to do?
What do we say?
What do we do? What do we do? And then they just pull them off the shelf. They don't have them anymore.
I think what it all comes down to is just understand what you have and stay in your fucking lane. Like, if you have a $600 set of wheels, you have a fucking $600 set of wheels. If you spent $5 grand on your set of wheels, that's like worth twice as much as your car. Fucking know that your wheels were that expensive.
Then at least get good tires.
Money.
Get good tires.
Yeah, there's a whole thing around that. But all right, Alex, do you have any questions? I fired one off. Not your turn.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Interlude. Joe's entertain.
By the way, Josh Peeler would like a shout out. He gets a second shout out.
I love Josh. Josh is from Continental. He's one of the realest motherfuckers out there.
Dakota is sponsored.
We just talked about this.
I'm not sponsored by Josh. I just enjoy Josh as a person.
I love Josh.
He happens to work
He's
for
such
Continental,
a tall,
but I love
such
Josh.
a tall boy.
Yeah,
he is.
All right.
He's good shit.
Worst mistake you made starting to modify cars. What was the number one worst mistake you ever made modifying a car? Not like you didn't know, but like what was the worst mistake? You look back and you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
When I had my second gen Eclipse.
Oh, here we go.
I was like, I'm gonna plastic dip my wheels. So I went and I bought the stuff. Here's the thing. I went and bought the stuff for it. There was lime green too.
I copied Joe's build.
No, it wasn't the flare. It was like actual lime.
Okay.
Green.
Gel car.
Joe's car.
What? Okay. So I was really excited about it. I was working at Subway. You'd make like $200 a paycheck. So
$5 footlongs.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. And so it's like, I'd save up. I was like, all right, I bought like 6 cans of like the lime green plastic. I was like, I wanted to do this for a long time. It was like fucking middle of January, like in our family garage. It was probably like 10 degrees outside. I'm like, that don't matter. And I just went out there. I'm like, well, they say you can just peel the shit off you don't want. And I just
oddly relatable.
And I just put like maybe a layer and a half on like each overspray on like all of the tires,
cooking it on.
Yeah. I'd say it turned out like absolute garbage, as you can imagine. Like it came out in clumps because it was too fucking cold. Like the cans were like frozen. Yeah. And I was like, and then like I backed it out because the garage had like no lights, and I like backed it out. I was like, oh God, I got so much shit from all of my, because it's like, I'm like, well, you can't peel it off because it didn't lay properly. Yeah. So like it literally looked like my wheels, like I peeled what I could off, but like the inside of the wheels, the tires, it literally looked like everything was like fucking molding. And it was the worst.
Brake.
It was the worst. You gotta learn.
You gotta do the brake cleaner.
Yep.
All right, so I have one. It's not like the most or the worst, but it's something I want to get off my chest.
Oh God.
I just never know where the story is going.
Alex is gonna love this shit.
I'm trying to figure out.
I'm about it.
Harnesses are the worst fucking mod if you do not need them.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted them so bad.
I will agree.
And I got legit ones. I got really cool Sparko ones. Yes. They look sick, but holy shit, they are so annoying to have in your car. I could barely reach my goddamn radio. It's like, well, if you have them loose, they're like hanging weird. Then they don't look cool because they're loose. So you get them nice and tight. Now I can't reach my radio. Now I go through the drive-through and I can't fucking. So I'm like unbuckling and trying to get my arm through the damn thing to reach out to the window. I set my shit down. Then I'm trying to put it fucking back through. For what? For fucking what? I'm driving a bag Focus ST. I'm barely going 40 miles an hour. You think I need a 4-point harness to hold me in to go through the McDonald's drive-through? And then my passengers, every time they get in, they're how do you adjust this so it fits me? Because the fucking one person was 100 pounds, the next person's 400 pounds. That's a goddamn nightmare in itself. Don't get harnesses. And they expire. I didn't know that until after I bought the fucking $400 harnesses. Harnesses expire once you get them, and there's a safety rating for them. So, like, they're useless after a couple years.
It's like a helmet.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and like, so if you're actually going to use them, they're going to expire. So, like,
I need to check.
I did mount them correctly, I'll have you know. I had a harness bar.
Yeah.
They were mounted the right, proper way. They were just extremely inconvenient. They did look cool, but I probably will never do it again unless I have a track car.
Do you think it's still a trend? Do you think people are still throwing harnesses and everything?
I think anything that's motorsports related is still cool in the car scene. It's just exaggerated.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Like, I see a lot of mostly, like, when I see stuff that I don't personally like these days, it's not the motorsport inspired stuff. It's the Japanese modified inspired stuff. It's the over excessive amount of hearts that I see on Miatas and things like that are like the steering wheels, the subway handles, the door cards, the door handles.
It is a lot of that stuff.
It's like
harnesses fall right in line with that. Now there's companies making them for $40. So.
See, here's what I'll say to tag on to the worst mistake I ever made is we had a Miata that had the racing harnesses. This is actually where I grew my hatred of them was in a Mazda Miata because I've had like 6 of them.
Jesus.
And
when the hell did you have 6?
I know. I've had them I've had a lot of them.
I had one with. You also had an FBRX7 that you told no one about.
Yeah, that's a whole
2.5 years. Yeah, I try to like keep a couple like hidden in the backseat.
Anyway, talks about it.
Anyway, I actually saw a picture of it when I was going through. But anyway, we had them installed on what I thought was correctly.
Oh God.
They were not apparently done correctly. Now, my biggest mistake was when I was old Alex. I was getting in a fight with somebody that did a lot of autocross. And apparently when you do autocross, you know all the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I hated this dude's attitude about telling me that we had the harnesses done incorrectly. I got in a full-on fight with this guy for like multiple weeks, months. We didn't talk to each other in person, all because of these harnesses not being installed correctly.
Jesus.
I 100% believed he was wrong for the longest time. We sold the Miata. One day, in like 2017, I was doing some research to figure out, because I was thinking about building a car that was specifically meant for track, which meant a roll cage, the harnesses, the whole 9 yards. And I was learning about how to install the seat belt harnesses. I was wrong.
Oh God!
So Mike,
that is not a phrase I've heard Alex say too often.
Mike from Eau Claire that had that orange Miata that I got in a fight with probably back in 2012.
Yo, shout out Mike.
Yo, Mike. He's finally getting it.
You were right.
Oh, there it is. Shout out Mike. Shout out Mike.
Someone find Mike and show him that.
Yes, he needs to. If he heard that, I feel like he'd go like, fire! Finally, yes, yes. God damn, that son of a bitch argued.
Saves it forever.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's super stoked on that. But yeah, to wrap up the idea about harnesses, I just want to say, if you have a car that needs them, absolutely 100%. Like, I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying, like, if you don't need them,
don't need it for your show car.
They're not.
Get
It's just like roll cages. Like people love putting roll cages in cars, and it's like, why? First off, if you have a roll cage, a full roll cage in your car, either half cage, whatever it is, they are built for you to have a helmet on. They are built for you to have a racing harness installed.
Yeah,
they're not built because your
smoke
fucking
your
head is doing
bean
that.
off of that.
Like, what
You're
sort of
dead.
ping pong do you want to have going on? And then on top of that, people will build their own, cages, right? Because
God.
it's cheap. Here's the thing. Cages are meant to bend, absorb. Sometimes they're even supposed to push back. Like, they're built for a very specific reason. And people will build these roll cages in their garage, and they'll build them like the fucking Alamo, just not meant to take anything. And then what will happen is they'll get in an accident. Something will shear, like a weld point will shear, something like that. And then they got a spear that will like go into them because they weren't built the right way. So if you are going to get a roll cage, first off, get a reputable one from somebody that knows how to build them. Second off, make sure you're rolling around in a helmet. And then when you have the harness, make sure you just have a street car. At this point, anytime you're fucking with the seat belts or roll cage, you just have a race.
That is dude. Roll cages got huge for a minute. Like, even on the super pages for the Mark V's, it was wild. People are seeing people slang around the words, "Oh, it's a show cage." It's like,
Ooh.
Yeah, no.
like I've literally seen people say, "Yeah, oh, I would never ever use this on the track. It's a show cage," and like they knew that the
That is
quality was
so
fucking
wild.
horrendous, but it looked neat, so they did it, and that's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It goes to show too. It doesn't matter which like car group or page you're in. That stuff is all over. So
Yeah, I don't. It's like, I think you nailed. I don't mind anything. Is it like nothing's that. I don't hate anything in the car community. I think the only thing that usually
I do.
It scratches in the back of me is like people do something to their car to say it's for the intended purpose when everyone in the room knows it was not for that intended purpose.
Yes.
You know, like that's where you start to you can't pull a fast one on me.
Yeah.
What do you hate, Dakota? Say it.
fucking bumper guards on challenges. I've been through this. That shit is stupid. I hate it. I hate seeing it. That paired with the fuckers that can't follow the goddamn license plate sticker template. One in the bottom right, one in the bottom left. Do not stack 80 of them. Do not make the whole thing a fucking collage of how many years you've owned your car.
That's the fun part. That's
Just
the
be
joy.
a decent human being. Put your cart back in the stall. Put your sticker where it's meant to be. Shut the fuck up and go home. I'm so sick of seeing that stuff.
There's like small little things that I can just imagine, like when Dakota is like literally walking around, maybe like at a grocery store, and he's just like just in a
starts
big fucking mood.
trembling with fucking
Yeah,
rage.
just angry.
Yes, stupid people.
Yeah.
When oh my God, Maya will be like, dude, just calm down. It doesn't matter. I'm like, I can't even look. I can't. We need to get the fuck out of here. I like going to Walmart is the bane
Why
of
do you
my
even?
existence.
Yeah, why do you even go to
'Cause
Walmart?
I avoid it at all costs, but there is sometimes where you just gotta fucking do it. It's just that it's more convenient. But every time I go there, oh my God, the fucking one of the last times I was getting accused of stealing a goddamn onion and a potato. It was like 8 cents worth of shit, and this lady's checking the bag 50 times looking for my receipt, telling me that I didn't scan things that I did scan. I'm like, lady, if I'm stealing a 3-cent onion, which I wasn't, mind your own fucking business, all right?
let it go.
Let it go, lady.
I would imagine she saw your tattoos. She's like, oh, this motherfucker.
I think so. Like, I didn't want to say it.
You
but
got
I
profiled
did.
to
Yeah,
shit.
100%.
They're like, look at this big ass dude with
Yeah.
a
That
man
motherfucker
tats.
can't afford onions.
He stole that 8 cents.
She literally came up and went through all my, and I was just vegetables. I was making some fucking like guacamole, I think. So it wasn't potatoes. It was jalapeno, onion,
hope not.
avocado. Yeah, no
It's a
potatoes in
weird
your guac.
concoction of items.
But yeah, so that's literally the only reason I went to the store. And it's like I go to the stupid self-checkout, which beeps and it never works right and never
I feel
reads
like
my
it's
card.
not even beneficial to do. I feel like all the time there's always an issue.
Oh,
with
you can
it.
go down a whole fucking rabbit hole.
Please
with
put
this
the item in the bagging area. Please put the item in the and it is in the fucking bagging area. It weighs an ounce, so it's not gonna fucking register. Anyways, and it's like it's like, okay, Walmart's open. I'll just fucking go there. I do it. Everything's going good. And I'm trying to leave. And then there's this goddamn lady checking multiple times to make sure I didn't steal an onion or a jalapeno. And it's like, this is why I fucking hate this place. Dude, yeah, if you want to get me riled up, stupid people. Stupid people drive me insane. And I'm a stupid person, but I think I like to think I'm a funny, stupid person. Then that's okay. But when you're just stupid,
when you're arrogant, stupid.
Yeah, arrogant, stupid.
Arrogant,
I was going to say
stupid is
smart,
bad.
stupid is a big problem.
Yeah, that not good.
We don't need that.
People who put Challengers and they keep their yellow banana guards on, those are stupid people. Not funny, stupid.
Well, you heard it there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Dakota's carving a name for himself.
I was getting a little heated there. Sorry.
That's all right. If you haven't seen Evan Shanks' AMG, by the way, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, I love that post. That was a good.
He's a funny dude to follow. On
Yeah.
Instagram. I love it. I can't do enough of it. All right, we're done with this podcast. Game over. Thank you
GG.
guys so much. Please chug.
Chuck. Joe's chugging a beer for those listening, and he finished it. Well done. Joe's never finishes drinks. That's gonna be a subject on
clap
another
right now.
podcast. Yeah, give
me that
Joe's
clap
a
right
clap.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cut it out. Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah, it's
So
like a 12-year-old.
we'll talk about this on a different podcast. But Joe's never finished his drinks. He finished it, so it's legendary.
It's a game-changing moment.
That's all I got.
Oh, we appreciate you guys coming over and checking out the next MartiniWorks podcast. It was awesome to obviously have the old gang back together. One of the big things that we always want to just let you guys and gals know is that we can't do it without you. So if you are on YouTube, drop a comment, drop a question, interact. And then if you guys are looking to support, you can check it on over at MartiniWorks. And if the site is not live, that is on purpose, okay? Your website or your internet doesn't, it's not that it's broken and we just don't have anything live. Anything else?
But it'll be there.
It'll be there eventually. Just not maybe now, maybe later. I'm going to get bumper guards, and I'm going to put them all over Dakota's car. Because he's got all sorts of fake vents and areas of flanges and things that I can just put all sorts of
but those
shit
are meant
in
to
there.
stay on the car, okay? We don't got to get into
What
that.
if they were just covers?
What if I plasti dip your fake vents yellow
don't
so
say,
they look
"Please
like
remove."
bumper guards?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Maybe we can do that one day. But see, that's stupid funny. That's like, it gets a pass. That's not stupid.
Now I'm gonna
stupid is doing something.
I'm gonna look at
believing
I'm gonna
in
look
it,
at
and it's
people.
stupid.
I'm gonna look at people when I'm like out at I don't know Target or Walmart or something like that, and I'm gonna be like,
Don't go to
do you
Walmart.
think they're being stupid, or funny stupid? And I'm gonna think,
The
what-
thing is, you don't have to
W-
fucking think about it. You can see it immediately. You can read that shit.
WWDS. What would Dakota say? And I'm
Yeah.
gonna think,
That's
no, that's
stupid.
stupid.
Yeah.
All right,
100%.
all right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Stupid.